Having looked at some of these kings, having thought about Saul and David and Solomon, we now come to look at some of the things that happened with two characters, Elijah and Elisha. They were prophets who would bring messages of the future, but also messengers for God who would bring messages to people. Messages to some of the kings. They're referred to in the Bible as being like God's helpers, who were bringing messages for God. Let's have a look at some of the events and some of the things that happened in the days of Elijah and Elisha.
Elijah was God's helper. Elijah told the king it would not rain for a long time because of the bad things the king was doing. God wanted Elijah to be safe. He told him where he could go to hide from the king. Elijah would find water to drink there, and God had birds bring him food in their beaks.
Elijah wanted everyone to know that God answers prayer, so he asked some people to pour out a lot of water on some wooden stones. Then Elijah asked God to send fire from heaven. Water always puts out fires, but the fire that God sent burned up that water.
God wanted Elijah to live with him in heaven forever. So God sent horses made of fire to bring Elijah to him. They were pulling a cart called a chariot. It was made of fire too. Elijah rode in the chariot all the way up to heaven. Elisha, who was God's new helper, watched him go.
A woman with 2 sons had no money, but she had a jar of cooking oil. Elisha said, "Get a lot of empty jars from your friends. Fill the jars with oil from your jar." The woman poured and poured the oil from her jar, but no matter how much oil she poured, God kept her jar full of oil. Elisha told the woman to sell the oil so she would have plenty of money.
Elisha often walked from town to town so he could be God's helper in different places. A man and woman in one town always let him stay at their house. One day their son died, but when Elisha prayed, God made the boy come back to life.
Nehemiah was the king's most important soldier, but he had bad sores on his skin. A young girl said that Elisha, God's helper, could make Nehemiah get well. So Nehemiah rode in his chariot to the country where Elisha lived. Elisha told Nehemiah to wash in the river Jordan 7 times. As soon as he did it, God healed him.
As we can see, these were people that God trusted. God trusted them to bring the messages and to bring the right message that he had for people. They're referred to in those readings as being helpers of God. Can we look to be helpers in that same way? To do what God calls us to do, to follow him. These two men were just 2 examples of people who did this. But there are others in Scripture as well. On Monday, we'll be looking at some more kings and more prophets. And again, some of them were good and did lots of good things, and some made mistakes as well. But God used all of them. Isn't that great that he uses people? Despite their own flaws, their own mistakes, God still uses them, and he uses us.